today is because as I watch vloggers, I watch YouTube a lot about this subject matter, repatriating, going home. I do, that's pretty much all I think about now. So I have favorite YouTubers and vloggers who I find very inspiring. But I have seen like a proliferation of new people coming on. I left, and most of the YouTube videos start with, I left America and moved to Ghana. I left America and moved to Africa. And that's wonderful. I'm very excited about it, but I'm really thinking a whole lot of y'all need to not be doing that, because I'm, along with that, I'm also seeing a lot of people doing videos or talking about the fact that I had to come back. So you better, offering these warnings to people. That kind of bothers me, because it tells me, number one, that maybe you should not have gone. And number two, I think that it's become a fad. Repatriating to Ghana or to Nigeria or to Kenya or to Cameroon or these other places that people are, kind of jumping on the bandwagon. It's become a fad. As much as I'm grateful for and thankful for the year of return, and just the idea that Ghana is kind of leading the way to welcoming us back to our homeland, I feel that a lot of people have this knee-jerk reaction, because some of these people who are making videos, who are selling everything and leaving, for as an emotional reaction, or having had it with racism or whatever. A lot of them, like a couple of years ago, thought that Ghana was a small country in Central America that was famous for people drinking the purple Kool-Aid in mass and dying, a cult suicide happening. And now, a couple of years later, you're going there. Listen, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to discourage anybody, but I'm also not going to ask people or beg people or try to convince anybody to come, because I get so many people trying to get me to convince them, change their minds, hear their arguments about why they wouldn't go, about what's wrong with my plans, or why, or what I should be doing, or how other people, other vloggers who are already on the ground there, what they should be doing. Just a lot of negativity, a lot of judgment in a place that you have no right to judge. I really am bothered to see some of the comments and some of the ignorance that come through on the message boards of some of my favorite vloggers. So let me just say this. My belief is that in order to have a long-term and or permanent success, to have long-term permanent success in West Africa from the West, it's going to take a little bit more than your thought process. There has to be, in my opinion, a pull, a spiritual or ancestral call. And I say ancestral because, as much as I am just Afrocentric, crazy about anything Africa, cannot wait to live there, I would not want to necessarily settle permanently in Zimbabwe or Kenya or South Africa or Egypt or Morocco or Senegal. Not because those are not absolutely fabulous, wonderful, beautifully cultured places that I do want to visit, but because part of my reason for repatriating is because I'm repatriating. My bloodline, my paternal bloodline, is the Akan and Ewe people of the area we now call Ghana. My mother's people are the Tikar of the area we now call Cameroon. And those are just a couple of branches on my family tree that I learned through DNA testing with AfricanAncestry.com. So they're not paying me to say that. And I do. Just a side note, if you're going to get your ancestry checked and you're interested in your African ancestry, do go with AfricanAncestry.com. It is African American owned. It was, it came to be because the geneticist, Dr. Rick Kittles, had a personal interest in finding through mitochondrial DNA who his tribe was. not just saying, oh, you match the people in Nigeria. Nigeria was not a country at the time that the slave trade was beginning. It was named later. There was no Ghana. These are all colonial names. All these names, all these countries are the result of the artificial borders and dividers that were put in place by force by the colonizers. So when you get results saying, oh, I'm 80% Gambian, okay, you'll probably get Senegambian because Senegal encompasses Gambia. Or I'm 90% Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast is not an ethnicity. Ivory Coast was named by the people who pillaged Africa and colonized by those people, and that's the name. So when you say you're from the Ivory Coast, your bloodline's from the Ivory Coast, you're not saying anything. African Ancestry was formed by a Black geneticist who did want to know his tribe. He has the largest database of ethnicities, of African ethnicities in the world, and he can most closely match you to an ethnic group that you can say, this is my tribe, these are my people. And so, okay, that was just a side note. But I said that to say that going to Ghana, going to Africa, relocating there, planning to permanently leave the place that you've known all your life and all your parents' life and grandparents' life, and go and live in another country is not an easy thing. It's not easy. You're going to have all kinds of challenges. You're going to really be tested in doing it. You better do your homework. You better start networking. You better start learning the language. Yeah. You better start getting used to not always having electricity. You better get used to knowing that the roads may not be passable. You better get used to and deal with the fact that for a while you're going to be seen as an outsider because our brothers and sisters on the continent suffered just as greatly as we did through colonization. They went through a lot. So we're damaged on both sides of the pond, quite frankly. And repatriation for me is about healing, about coming back and becoming one with my native people. Okay, so I'm trying to make this as short as possible. I believe, and this is my own personal belief, that if you are to be successful in repatriating, if you're an African-American, Afro-British, from the islands or whatever, of course the islanders have it easier because Jamaica, Trinidad, and places like that are very much like Ghana, very much like West Africa. But if you are planning to do that, I think that in order to be successful, there must be a pull. There must be an ancestral or spiritual calling. You should know that you know in the deepest depths of your soul that this was meant for you to do. It can't be an idea you had after hearing there was available land. It can't be something you thought you would try out because this celebrity or that celebrity is gonna move there or took a group of people there. It can't be because I hear you can make a lot of money over there. It can't be for any of the, it can't be because you're lonely and you're trying to find your partner. Because yeah, people will be very welcoming to you and your US dollars and be your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, because you have a lot to offer financially that they may not have otherwise. And you get what you pay for. Okay. You get, if that's what it's based on, then be forewarned. If you're not called, if you don't have an undeniable pull, something that you can't explain, just this visceral thing that you know that in order to be whole, you need to be on the ground in West Africa, don't move there. Yes, visit. Save some money and visit. Get your passport. Get your money saved and visit. Yes, it's absolutely essential, I think, for who we are, for you to experience Africa at least once in your life. Make it a priority. Don't say how expensive it is. Make it a priority. Anything that you make a priority in your life, you can afford it. It's crazy to say you can't afford it, because some of the same people who talk about how broke they are, I don't have this, I don't have that, they're buying cigarettes, they're buying alcohol, they're getting that hair did, they're getting them nails done, on a regular basis. I can't afford those things, but I can afford to go to Ghana. I can afford to go to the Gambia. I can afford to go to Egypt, because those are my priorities. So that's what I'm saying. Don't come over there messing stuff up with your Western mindset. I'm not judging anybody, because Lord knows I've had to do a lot of work on myself and to kind of deprogram from my Western mindset, as Afrocentric as I am. You can see my house. You can see my father from the time I was a child, who told me, you are African. We did not start out as slaves. We are African, and those African people that you see on TV, that's your family. Those are your people. And that's something that I'm so grateful for, because it's been the story of my life. This is a lifelong process that I'm finally at the door of fulfilling. So you need to be called. If you're not called, just visit. I did a song. Actually, it was from a poem that a family member wrote many years ago, but the melody worked for these words, for thinking about repatriating. Heed the call if you hear it, rising like a river. Babylon's falling, the Most High is calling his people together, calling you from that land where you find your back against the wall. Babylon ain't no place for an African people, a chosen people, no. Heed the call or visit. Just don't stay. Thank you for listening.